Star Fox 2. One of the most infamous canceled Star Fox games ever made, and as well as one of the most recognizable canceled games of all time. Star Fox 2, if you don't know, is the, well, immediate sequel to Star Fox 1 on the SNES. The game was pretty much completed, but was canned at the very last second in favor of Star Fox 64, where a lot of assets and gameplay ideas were reused, like Star Wolf. Now, we already know how this story ends. Star Fox 2 actually did get a full release in 2017 on the SNES Mini. That being said, between the time that the game got fully released and a little bit after, we had the prototypes and beta builds of Star Fox 2. Now, I've already personally done several videos on several of the old school builds, and there are tons of videos out there talking about all these different builds, but there is not a single video that talks about all of them in one single compilation, and that's what today is about. We're going to be looking at the earliest builds of Star Fox 2, all the way down to the very latest, including the final build, showcasing every single one of them. And for everyone that stays to the very, very end, I've got a special surprise for you. So with that being said, guys, I'm Jetter. Welcome to the Star Fox prototype and beta build compilation. Let's rock and roll. Guys, welcome to the very first game in the Star Fox beta compilation. The first game on the list is the Star Fox 2 April 15th, 1994 build. Now, funny enough, this particular version I actually did a video on years ago, and I predated the Giga Leak, and I had one of the only first video documentations of this build, so this one does have a little special place in my heart. However, when I originally did it, I used the Z SNES emulator, which did not work at all. When you do load this particular prototype up, make sure to reset the game once you load it up, as it won't turn on immediately. And make sure for all these prototypes you use the SNES 9X emulator. It runs the best. Now, we're not going to be looking at every single aspect, more of just a light showcase of every single build. And we got the title card as well as a few options: mission, battle, test, training, and configuration. So first, we're going to check out mission. Now, obviously, mission doesn't actually have anything here, so pressing the start button lets you select a character. We have Sarah, Lady, Slippy, Peppy, Falco, and Fox. Lady was a character that was inevitably dropped, who was actually a full-blown human character, and Sarah was another Fox character that was also dropped. We have several different options from Hydro, Asteroid, Sankara, Sea, Sun, Park, Magma, Desert, and Ground. Lots of different stages. This is Ground. Now, as you can see here, Sarah, or Sar, however you want to pronounce it, the entire R-Wing model is eventually what Miyu and Faye would end up using, but this little one right here is nothing special. It's just got east, north, west, and south, and this is pretty much like a little map to tell what direction you're going, as well as a little test bench for all range mode. So obviously nothing much here. Now, pressing the actual smart bomb button in this version actually drops a cool little missile. And of course, everything else here is as you expect. The UI is a little different than what we're accustomed to, and of course the model work is a little different than what we saw in the final. We also have an early version of the transformation. Check that out. Isn't that cool looking? However, this thing is slow as absolute dog water. Look at this thing. It's literally like it walks 2 miles an hour. This is the desert stage right here. We're going to be playing as our main boy, Peppy. As you can see, the model work here is kind of similar to what we got in the final. This is just another test bench map. Nothing major change here. We do, however, this massive object, which is not seen in the final game, at least I do not believe it is. This is supposed to be the Magma stage, but there's actually no difference. We have another R-Wing that's flying around with us. There are a few objects here, but there's really not much on this stage either. Also, here's the transformation for Peppy and Slippy ships. Definitely a little weird. Look at his little very flat walk. And of course, he is slow as absolute dog water. My God. This is Park. Park has a little more to it. There's more objects here on the screen. We have a few little object enemies, as well as a few buildings and moving enemies. The map shows a little more, and we are using Fox, but Fox's R-Wing model is actually pretty much identical to what we ended up with. Pressing the minus button shows his transformation, which is somewhat similar to what we ended up getting, but of course, he is still slow as heck. Moving on to the sun level. The sun level is actually really cool as it showcases a never-before-seen backdrop, as well as a full-blown enemy battleship, which is never seen in the final game. There's actually a few extra objects over here, where there's a few additional battleships just kind of chilling out. And it's represented by the E, as you can tell. You can actually destroy these, which is pretty cool. And as you can see here, a boss just spawned, which is pretty cool. It's Mirage Dragon. Whoa, that's dope as hell. And game crashed. Now, another thing I want to showcase, which is really cool, is that pressing the minus button actually gave you a very interesting vehicle that it's never seen anywhere else. This is almost like a full-blown hover vehicle that gives you far more precise movement in all range mode, which we never got to see before, as this one allows you to move in all different directions, which is actually kind of crazy that they never revisited the hover vehicle, because it does make kind of complete sense in all range mode, having a stationary vehicle that has a far more precise movement. Though you lose speed and maneuverability, you gain stability and accuracy, which is honestly a pretty cool touch. Now, as you can see right here, I'm going as Peppy's ship. If I press minus, he also has a unique hover ability as well. Each vehicle and ship has their own unique version of this. So this is the Peppy/Slippy version, and same thing for Sarah as well as Lady. Here's their ships, and here is their transformations. Little smaller than Fox's ship, but it's still pretty cool. This is the sea level. It's pretty cool. We got some rings, got some other objects here. Nothing really major. And we can actually have the ability to fly outside the map, which I don't know if you noticed that, but that red line on the map shows where the map normally is supposed to end. Now, moving on to the exit 1, 2, and 3. This is the first one, which has a lot more battleships all flying together, which is pretty dope. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see all these battleships here. Lots of objects. We have enemies as well. Going back behind us, there's another object right behind us, which is just some rings and some more enemies to shoot. Nothing major. And as you can see, the Mirage Dragon does spawn back onto this level as well, which we already know what happens with that. This is Asteroid, which just shows lots of different objects flashing onto the screen that are just floating in a large open space. So nothing too major, nothing too different here. This whole the bulk of this demo is mainly large open spaces with objects. So again, it is very, very early in development. And this is mainly testing object pop-in, it's mainly testing all range sections, all that kind of jazz, just graphics as well as mechanics. That's mainly what this demo is all about. Now moving on to our very final one, which is Hydro. But yeah, this level is mainly just enemies kind of floating about. This is probably one of the ways that they were testing like enemies on the screen in an all range section. At least that's what I'm assuming. Now, with that said, we also have a few other options. We have Test, which we can test Mission, which again just lets you test different levels as well as certain things with those. So nothing really major there, but it does have a test function along with those mission functions. There's also Training. Now, Training is really interesting. As you see, everything's in Japanese, so we can't really read anything. But Training lets you get accustomed to the controls and everything, as well as movement, which is something that we actually did not have in Star Fox 2's final build, which is actually really odd. Star Fox 1 gave you the ability to kind of get accustomed to the way the controls felt, and Star Fox 2 doesn't really give you that option. Not that it needs to, the controls are pretty simple as is, but it would have been nice if Star Fox 2 gave you something like this in its final build. This is the second type of training mode that there is, called Type. It's pretty much testing the different versions of the control schemes, Type A and Type B. But yeah, that's all this really is, just another training mode to test the different types of control schemes. At least I'm assuming so. I can't read Japanese. We do have a configuration mode, which mainly is, you know, configuration. It's nothing exotic. And finally, the most recognizable thing for this is the battle mode. Now, battle mode actually shows something really interesting. We have a different set of 3 different stage levels, and if we select one, we actually get the option to do a character select. We select Fox, Peppy, Falco, Slippy, and Dross, as well as Farah, who, and this one I believe is called Sarah, which I'm gonna go ahead and just select a character for us so we can check out what battle mode looked like, which you can choose a few of. We're just gonna choose Ground 1, just because. And as you can see here, this very early build actually has a very well-made and kind of almost polished version of what the multiplayer would look like, with a full UI built in and everything. It's honestly crazy. You actually can keep track of characters in this one, which it shows on the map as a little target for you to track. I actually did a video with Random years ago where we fought each other doing this, which is pretty cool. It does take a minute to kill these guys, so I am going to show you what happens when you do get a kill in here, so give me just a moment. Once inevitably you do get a kill, as done here, you are inevitably granted a point. Now, this one actually doesn't have an actual end. It just kind of gets soft locked into this position, but it does show a full-blown UI already created for multiplayer, as well as the fact that it works. And that brings us to the end of this very first prototype. Pretty bare bones, but there's still a lot of cool things here, and it shows the early stages of Star Fox 2. Alright guys, welcome to the second build in the list. This is the April 1st, 1994 build, though it's called April 1st because of the name that it was modified on. In reality, this is actually in between the April 15th build as well as the later build, so this one's farther in development. As you can see here, the biggest difference first off is the font. It's definitely slightly changed, and we have planets now that are actually shown up on screen. However, that being said, that is really the only major differences. This one's just been cleaned up. There are more objects. It's a lot less barren than the very first prototype. So there's just generally a lot more on screen, like some cool little effects. Enemies are easier to kill. The transformation is actually faster than it was before. That kind of stuff. Bosses are also easier to kill. Space Blade is easier to take out, and he's missing his top part in this version. All in all, this one's further along for sure, and it's showing that Star Fox 2 is finally taking shape, but there's still a lot of similarities, and it's still pretty early versus what we inevitably got in the final version. Now, the Sun level actually has its own OST, very different music that's never heard in the final version. We do have a timer in the bottom corner of the screen, as well as a timer that warns us when we're out of bounds, which is missing from the final version. This version also has a boost overload, which means once you boost too high, you lose the ability to boost for a very long time, and it's quite punishing. Now, just to show you, I'm going to let the timer run out to show you what happens when time does run out in this version, which you got about 30 more seconds to wait. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time up. And it fades us out and boots us back to the main screen. Now, there are a lot more little significant changes with this build. However, the only other one I'd like to focus on is the battle mode once again. Battle mode is pretty much kind of the same setup as before. The UI background is slightly different versus what it was. Now it's darker than it was before. Now, showcasing a space level, we're actually back in the level that had a lot of the actual ships. There's our target, which is shown by this really cool little target effect. And now we have them on our sights. Versus what we got originally, this one is actually now a timed battle, meaning however many kills you get is, well, how many points you can earn will determine the winner. Yes, so good! So good! I'm so good fighting against nobody! Yes! Bam! And once the time runs out, we're shown the basics and our total score. This then takes us to round 2, as there are a grand total of 3 rounds. You're eventually brought to this little screen which shows like a effective result screen. However, obviously nothing's happening because it was never fully implemented. So nothing going on here. Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same, just minor fixes and changes, UI differences, things like that, versus what we got in the earlier prototype. If you want a more extensive list of the changes, that'll be down in the description. But on to the next build. Now, there is actually a build that's supposed to take place after this one, which is the May 6th build. The differences are, again, very, very minor. There are some differences in texture work with the actual characters. There's a difference in the way that the R-Wing transformation has this cool little sprite in the back. And all in all, it's pretty much the same thing as we already expected. Now, after this, we had the August 31st, 1994 build. This one has got a crazy floating object in the background, as well as another full set of different options, just like the others. Heading to mission, however, changes things up, as now we actually choose one pilot, which shows some very early sprite work of the ships. That being said, we have some UI towards the bottom, like different resets, which is our life counter, things like that. And we're going to stick with our new little buddy. Now, this one actually shows us a full-blown ship. We have the Great Fox here, and we have different planets like Mission 3, Mission 6, Mission 5, Mission 4, Titania, and Mission 7, I believe. Oh, Mission 2, excuse me. We're going to go into Titania first. There was a blooper. What? Stage title. Stage. And he gives us some little information, and this shows us our target, which is pretty cool. And here we are. Stage 1 ready. Whoa! I've never seen that. That's really cool. You never see this in the full version. Looks like we have to destroy this target first to get past the barrier. Oh, that is really cool. That's a shame we never got to see that in the final version. Destroying enemies is also a lot easier in this one versus the other builds. Got it. That just dropped down the shield, so we keep pushing forward. There's also got this cool snapping effect where it like rolls to the right and left. We also have a big boss here, which we just took down. Oh, we got some cool text sprites from the characters, which is pretty cool. We had some really beautiful geometry effects, which we never get to see in the final game. We also have bombs in this version, which we didn't get to have originally. And it looks like that they actually home on targets. This is honestly a really cool stage. It's a shame we never got to see this. It's like a full planetary base. Instead of being inside an object, we're actually flying around. And bam! We did it! Mission complete! Nice! Oh. Oh, we got a boss! Whoa, and there's a boss gauge? Oh, this is cool. I have not seen this. It's a little tough to hit this guy, but we're getting him. I love the boss gauge. I think that's a very nice touch. We actually never got a boss gauge in any other game, which, now that I'm seeing this, is kind of strange because it makes total and complete sense, and it works very well. Uh-oh. Coming around another pass. Woo! Watch out! Oh, close one. Nice. Woo! Got him. Though it looks like that there's no actual transition off the stage. But that was really cool. We had a full-blown boss with a boss meter and everything. There's the blooper. Can we interact with it? No? Oh, we can. So what happens when we talk to the blooper, I wonder? Oh, it looks like we're actually on an on-rail section. That's interesting. We actually never get to see on-rail sections for Star Fox 2. So this is quite intriguing to see for this version. Ooh, massive glowing Firebird. Nice. Always cool. Ooh, we got a battleship. Oh, well, it's gone now. Honestly, it's lovely, to be completely honest with you, to see that Star Fox 2 had a system like this. Quite enjoyable. Just kind of a brief little showcase of every stage. Ooh, stage title. Seems like our targets are supposed to be satellites this time. And here we are. Stage layout is definitely different than what we're accustomed to versus normally. But it looks like this is another stage where we have to destroy barriers and get through it, which is pretty cool. Ooh, look at that massive thing. Whoa! Look at this monstrosity. We have a full-blown, like, floating base. This is super cool. There are so many unused objects and, like, ideas. Still got a few more left to destroy, but they're slippy yapping away. Oh, I love that little sprite work. That's adorable. I'm not actually sure what's happening right now, but I'm kind of in a glitch state right now. I'm stuck in one position. Well, I'm not really sure why, but it did put me in a glitch state, so I guess that's the end of that. Ooh, we got crazy little walker things. Look at those little chicken heads. All right. Whoa, check out the background on this thing. Whoa, that is wacky. Honestly, these planets are way more vast than what we had in the final build, which is kind of a shame, actually. There's so much more dynamic in this build. Help. Oh, we freed something. Thanks. What? That's so cool. They were like captives, and we freed them. What? Oh, there you are. Oh, you're being eaten by like a little sandworm. What the fuck? Wait, hold on. I'm coming. Hey, drop my friend. Got him. That is such a cool concept. And there they go. Oh, but it looks like we're supposed to fight a boss now. Uh-oh. And it seems to drop us into walker mode. Oh, and it's the same bird thing from last time, except now it's missing its like center half. Well, we already know what happens here. It won't actually boot us to the end, but that is still really cool. A full-blown SOS mission quest. That's so cool. Extra 1, mission final stage. Oh, that's interesting. That's actually in English this time. Oh, intriguing. Whoa, look at this. We're actually in a water stage this time. So that mean we need to go down, or hold on. There's one of the targets. It's a very vast water stage. Can we go underwater? I'm curious. We can. Well, look at this shit. This is awesome. This is super cool. I love how much more vast the planets are in this version. It's honestly kind of a shame that the planets weren't of this, like, magnitude in the final. It probably couldn't have been done. Maybe it was limitations. I'm not sure. Maybe time constraints even to not be able to, like, finalize the size of these planets. But I don't know. This is just super cool, dude. I love it so much. Stage title. 10-4. Let's do it. All right. Whoa, background just got all full. Whoa, what the fuck was that effect? Oh, I actually just got booted up too high up from the altitude I'm supposed to be able to go. Oh, shut that thing down. Oh, they like transformed the stage. Interesting. Oh, it's almost like, and it creases like Deathscape. It's almost like you're changing between worlds. So you like shoot one and then it changes where you are. I'm assuming the idea is that these things were transforming the planet and its atmosphere into something like this dark deathscape. And it's your job in this stage to actually like effectively turn all the generators off to stop the planet from like changing. What a cool fucking concept. Oh my god, I love this. This entire demo has so many cool ideas that never got seen in the final version. I adore this. Alright, now moving on to the final mission, in Mission 5. This is the final one we're going to be checking out. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm not sure what those are, actually. New music, like it. Very cool back effect that we don't really get to see in the final version. Oh, look at them, flying around. Get out of here, bitch. Whoa, there's a full-blown base here. Look at this. They must be constructing some kind of base. We're probably supposed to stop them from constructing it. This is so cool. This is so cool. There are so many awesome ideas here. Well, this one seems to be a really cool concept. I'm not exactly sure what the objective is. But it looks like we were supposed to either collect or destroy some kind of core or centric item. But all in all, it's such a cool stage. It really is. Now, of course, we do have another test and we have another training mode. Both of them, training mode actually gives us a full-blown stage this time. Look at this. Oh, it's very glitched, though. It is very glitched. In fact, like, our arming is not proper. But it actually looks like a neighborhood. Look at this. There's a church and several other buildings. It looks like this test level is actually probably constructed off of someone's neighborhood, which is honestly super cool. Though it is a shame that it is pretty glitched out. I'm not sure if that's because of the emulator or maybe it just loaded improper. So let me test it really quick. Now, I reloaded it and it seems like this glitch is still persisting. It might be the emulator not unable to load it properly, but it is cool that we can still kind of tell what's going on at least. But yeah, this looks like it's some kind of neighborhood that's been fully modeled for the test level, or the training level, which honestly is really cool. Alright, everything else is pretty much the same, but I do want to check out battle mode in this version. So we're going to go ahead and just select ground 1. Now this one shows, doesn't have that UI system that it did before that had the little barriers. And this is the version that I actually played against random when we were fighting each other in our 1v1. You can definitely see a lot more, though it is still a bit glitched. Like the map system is a little odd. You know, there's a little issues here and there. As you can see, like the left's got this weird glitch effect. Bam! And yeah, so it looks like once they're dead, it kind of just puts us in this glitch state. And once time runs out, we're moved on to another stage, another fight. And then we're given the results screen once it's over, though this one definitely looks a very glitched up versus what's normally supposed to happen. And that brings us to the end of this particular build. Lots of cool stuff. Really interesting, and there's a lot more to check out, and it shows a lot of really early concepts that honestly are a shame that they went unused, like the SOS missions and full-blown, far more expansive planets with far more terrain. And seeing this, man, it really is a shame we didn't get to see all of this in Star Fox 2, because it looks like the game had a pretty big scope at the beginning. So the next build that I have for you is actually the November 25th, 1994 build. Now this one actually has never been officially released, and it has one of the earliest beta versions of the title screen that we've ever seen. Everything we actually have seen in this particular build comes from the Nintendo Power Volume 69. Ha! Nice. This one shows things like the beta title screen. It shows the map and it being more like finalized, with a map very similar to the previous build that we just saw in the August version. It has lots of snippets of different gameplay, like this interesting crates, as well as them walking on magma. It shows Andross in some kind of space battle. It shows probably some early cutscenes at the beginning of the game. It also shows a really cool screenshot of the multiplayer, which seems to be similar to the build previous to the August build that was seen in the May build slash the later April build. And minus some more just general information of what's speculated and what's been talked about in that magazine, we don't actually have a physical version of this build for us to play, which is honestly a dang shame. But if you want to read more about that, all of that will of course be down in the description. Alright guys, the next build I have for you is the one and only 1995 CES build, which is a full-fledged demo that not only pretty much has the full game pretty much set in stone, but it's far more finished and far more similar to what we got in the final version. Starting off, as you can see, the actual main title card is different, and the sound effects used are different as well. Yep. That's cool, man. That's cool. Now, as you see on the right, there's a few graphical glitches that are things popping up that shouldn't be there. But yeah. And the beginning has a brand new, a different animation that plays at the start before the title card hits, where the great fox actually turns and then flies off. And then we are shown the one and only Star Fox 2 main title screen. As you can see here, the bottom has different character portraits from their old beta designs, which the character portraits went through a lot of different reworks, and this was the working title card that we had at the time. Now, this version does have mission and battle mode. We're going to check out battle mode first. We have different ones: room, space, and ground. We're going to check out space. Now, as you can see here, with all the different characters, we actually have different character portraits. Fox looks more fluffier, and the R-Wings have brand new designs as well in this version. We're going to go ahead and just check out our main boy, Fox McCloud, as well as we'll swing Peppy in here. All right, here we go. I honestly kind of prefer the prototype versions of these. Now, as you can see here, everything is far more final versus the original prototype that we played before with multiplayer. This one now has special power-ups you can pick up, which is pretty cool. It has a new UI system, which has a good wider shot of everything. And all in all, this is a pretty much squared away and finished version of the multiplayer. Also in this version, the damage now goes from it goes from blue to yellow to red. Bombs don't function like the normal way like they normally do. They are more like homing shots now that like go over a target and then explode. We're also timed, of course, and we got a map, which we've already seen in the previous builds. Bam! You won, and you lost. It actually shows like a full-blown you win, you lose, which is honestly pretty fucking cool. And then it just boots you out to do a brand new round. This is definitely the most like fine-tuned, finalized of the multiplayers of the prototypes we had up to this point. And honestly, at this point, I'm kind of weirded out the fact that with how the multiplayer got so fine-tuned that it didn't just get put into the final. But I mean, hey, it's weird. Now, aside that, the only real major thing is the mission mode, which you have 3 different versions: hard, normal, and easy. We are going to play the full thing on easy. I'm going to show you the biggest snippets. As you can see, this first beginning cutscene is different with the new version of Andross's portrait. I'll demonstrate my power on you! Woo! Now this game is fully working. It's a full demo. Look at that. Look at that. Definitely different than what we got in the final version. The map is a little bit almost like smaller in a way, with lots of new pixel art that's never seen before. So the CES demo version has probably the biggest amount of differences out of the rest of the remaining builds. So I will probably showcase the mass majority of this build, and then going forward, things will be a little shorter, because everything from this point on becomes more of what we're accustomed to. Crushing Andross's forces is our #1 priority. In order to recapture a planet, destroy all occupation forces. If Andross has fewer planets, he launches fewer attacks. To attack, move the planets to intercept ships. Place the cursor where you want to go, then press B. Now, as you can see, things are actually moving like live time. So in the final version, nothing moves till you move yourself. In this one, things continuously move all the time. All right. Now, there is no charge shot. So that's another thing to keep in mind. We also do have limited boost, which is something that is only really seen in this particular version. Now, the hitboxes for enemies is also really weird. As you can see here, like, I should be landing those hits. In the final version, that would have already counted as a hit, but... Oh. Okay, sure. Kamikaze! Be careful to keep an eye on the damage done in the corner area. So, yep, that's the old damage meter. And you can see these 2 rings kind of showing, like, outer radius. So, we're going to go ahead and go straight on to... Oh, there was a missile launch. I don't know if we'll make it. We'll try to, though. Alright, this is our first one. Looks like we have some satellites to take out. Now, unlike the final version, this one has, like, different missions. Wow, look at this. We're flying up into a base. There's our target. As you can see, some of the particle effects are also pretty different versus what we got normally, or what we would end up getting. But unlike the versions that in the final versions, where all missions were kind of the same thing, pretty much just different planets, different locales, and different ways of accessing enemy cores, this version has you kind of doing something different at every planet, which I think is pretty cool. Bam, and there we go. Now, this one is really, really short because, again, it is just a demo. So, even though there's a lot more to... Oh, that's about to get hit. All right, now we're facing off against a more unique enemy here. I did go ahead and restart the game real quick. This is a unique enemy that we don't actually ever get to see in the final version. There's a lot of unique... they're like full-blown battleships, what I think are really cool. As you can see, we got Miyu and her portrait. Miyu's always been my, like, preferred favorite to have as a partner on Star Fox 2. Bam, one guy down. Suck it, bitch. Nice! Alright, sorry now. So another cool thing is that if I press the pause button, you can actually see a different pause menu, which is really cool. We didn't get to see this in the final version. Final version just kind of pauses the game entirely, but in this version, you actually get to see Cornelius' damage, the items you have, your current score. You just get a little more information and stuff, which is pretty cool. Alright, this is another unique ship that we never got to see. Another, like, full-blown battleship. So we never got to see anything like this in the final version. We did get the massive, like, Venom carriers eventually, like the Star Destroyer wannabes. But this kind of stuff we didn't get to see in the final version, which is honestly kind of a shame that we didn't get to see, like, alternatives to the Dreadnoughts. I think that would have been a really cool thing to have, like every time you played a new match, like the Dreadnoughts you faced, the larger ships you faced, also like changed out and rotated, and were like randomized on every run, which sadly that is never actually done. Anyway, moving on to Venom now. Here we are at Venom. Just gonna chill out in the R-Wing. Honestly, versus the Walker, I would much prefer just chilling in the R-Wing for these missions. I don't mind the Walker, but it's just not... Nah, it's not my fave. Now, there are a lot of recharge pads, which is something that you... And plus, it's really quick, too. Recharge pads are not something that was really seen that often in the final version. They're like a more rare occurrence, if anything. Actually, I think we've got a glitch here because I can't target anything. I'm gonna have to go ahead and leave. That's annoying. Now, something else that's really cool is that when you're in a space level, we actually still have the ability to use the UFO/hover transformation. And it controls really, really well. In fact, it feels far more fine-tuned. And what's crazy is the fact that the transformation actually made it this far into development. Now, sadly, after this demo, the transformation is pretty much taken out from this point on. Even if that is the case, though, they are so much better controlling. In fact, they even have this new ability where we can barrel roll. Look at this. We can full-blown barrel roll with these things and avoid enemy fire. That's so fucking awesome. Now, of course, all of the ships have unique UFO/turret transformations. For example, they have a brand new model for Faye and Miyu, which is really cool, and it just looks super dope, super, super slick. Really, really like it here. We're gonna blast out these big old battleships real quick. Look at that, made quick work of that. No problem at all. Honestly, the UFO transformation is genuinely pretty awesome in these all-range sections. It really, really is. And of course, Peppy and Slippy both have their own unique transformations, which they look pretty awesome as well. And we're going to easily be able to make quick work of these guys since they're all kind of in one area, floating all around us trying to attack. And we're going to be able to pick them up. Look at that. Bam. One guy picked out. Easy as pie. Second guy, come on, baby. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Hold on. Hold on. Let me get him. Where's his ass? Boom! Oh, get the fuck out of here, you asshole. There you go. Down, out. Look at that. Oh my god, it's so awesome. It's like a turret, honestly. It feels like a full-blown spatial turret. And, bro, made quick work of that whole freaking squadron. I love this UFO ability. Such a shame that I didn't make it to the final build. We're going to take on Titania instead. Oh, we actually have the SOS missions, which were something that we saw in one of the earlier prototypes. It won't be easy to find the captured walker. Watch me, Chief. There it is. Now this is really cool. If we destroy this and watch. Yeah, you're welcome. It actually transforms into a mini R-Wing that we never see anywhere else and then just flies off. Walkers are also kind of slow in comparison to how they used to be. But this time, everything should work proper now. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there it goes. Yeah, it's super cool. We actually get to see like a mini R-Wing of sorts, like a Cornerian R-Wing that can walk as full, do a walker form as well. Another thing about this game is with the way that the time is and how everything is like, it's almost faster in this version than it is in the final version. It's honestly ridiculous because like you really get next to no time. You have to be very quick to get stuff killed. Otherwise, you're going to have to get booted out. It's kind of crazy. And there we go. Nice. Planet is finally taken back over. Now we're heading... Oh, look at that. And you can actually... You get to fly on your little wingmate. They pick you up in walker form. That's cool. Another thing you notice that you actually don't have the ability to warp. So there's no point going back to your Great Fox, which is something that is in the final version. A lot of stuff that is kind of a shame that the final version... Oh, there it goes. Yes, there we go. It wasn't doing that for me last time. Boom. All right, finally. I thought I was going to have to reset my run. I was almost this close thinking I was going to have to. Now, this is really cool. Actual Venom's main, like, new planetary ship actually teleports in front of Corneria, which is kind of frightening when you think about it, because it's like, all right, bitch, you want to destroy my forces? How about you take out my whole planet at once? Now, this effect here is also really interesting. Instead of, like, being in its own, like, nebula, it's actually in the middle of space, which is pretty cool. And, of course, now we are at the final level. Out, dickheads. There's actually no collision damage, which is pretty cool. Running into walls won't actually hurt you in R-Wing form. Kind of makes things a little easier for us, for sure. But I ain't against it. Take this guy out. We're going to go ahead and hop on this real quick. Recharge our health. Oh, it's actually one of the alternative special weapons. I will take that because bombs are busted in this one. So now we have regen, which is like one of the best abilities. Also, twin lasers are different than what we're accustomed to. Right here is a little health pickup so we can recharge our health, which is really nice. And it's actually right before the final boss, I believe. Yep, boss man. This is the boss this time. Bam, that's all it took. It's like 2 shots and it's dead. There we go, and he blows up. And then, to be continued. Woo! And yeah, that's how it ends. It's still very early for sure, but it's got all like the base ideas there. But definitely one of my favorite prototypes for a fact. I love this more, like, I love the older art style that they were going with. And a lot of the mission ideas, do wish they came back. And the battle mode is the best in this version for a fact. All right, guys, the next build that we've got is the June 8th, 1995 build. Now, we're actually at a point to where after this build and going forward, there is very little changes, as this is the most up-to-date as well as closest to the final build that we ever got. The differences are very minor between them at this point. The Nintendo logos, from the previous build, the Nintendo logo is very different. Also, we have a different shot of the carriers, which as they blow up is different. And the music that plays is also different. It also shows the more known, you know, this is actually the final cutscene that we end up getting. But the music is a bit different. And then there we go. Star Fox 2. Now this version actually does show the updated portraits that will be used for the remainder of the builds. But the logo is still in its beta phase of what it used to be before the final version. Now, if we hit start, one of the biggest things you'll notice is that there is no more battle mode. After the previous prototype, or the previous build from CES, the multiplayer is completely removed. There's no access to it at this point, from now on. Now, if we hit mission, we have access to expert, hard, and normal mode. Hitting normal. Everything is what it looks like in the final version, aside from the Japanese text, of course. As you can see, everything is very similar to like what you'd be accustomed to with how Star Fox 2 runs. Of course, our R-Wings also having another change from the previous prototype, looking pretty much, I believe, at this point, even the R-Wings had these are their final designs, if not right at their final R-Wing designs. But yeah, at this point, everything should look pretty similar. We're not going to be playing all through this because, again, At this point, the game is pretty much in its final state, aside from a few differences. And I'm just going to be showcasing the little bits, just to show, for reference from the previous prototype, the biggest differences here. Now, this is also the version that introduces us to the blaster. Probably one of the biggest differences is the fact that we have access to charge shot now at this prototype, which is pretty awesome. Also, hitboxes are different, so things are way easier to hit now, just like in the final version. The final version does have charge shot, but it's one you have to unlock. It's not one that you just have access to from the start. Which is something that we will talk a little more on as these final builds continue on. This is also the first time where bombs act the way they normally should. But instead of firing forward, they're actually dropped. So it's like they're thrown up in front of the player. Another thing is that the actual reticle for the enemies are almost further ahead of them. It's kind of a way to... Oh, they just spawn in the same spot. That's not like how it is in the final. The final version, enemies actually go a little ahead. In this version, it seems that they stand in the same position, which just makes things easier for a second attempt. But as you can see, the reticle is actually offset. That's actually where you're supposed to shoot in order to actually land a hit on them. So if an enemy target is moving, you're like shooting in the preemptive position of where they're going to end up being. We're going to showcase a carrier really quick and probably one planet, and then we're going to just keep moving on from there. This is pretty much, like, everything is going to look very similar to what we get in the final version, which I'm pretty sure most people are accustomed to. If you're not, you can always check out the full expert mode playthrough I did of Star Fox 2 a handful of weeks ago. Bam! And dead. There we go. Easy clap. Yeah, like I said, differences, very minor. And there, if you want a more in-depth dive, the actual prototype, like, breakdown, it will be down in the description for all you to check out if you're interested. Alright, I'm literally just going to focus on a quick planet here. We're not going to be focusing on trying to win because we already know what happens. Uh-oh. Ooh, it's Pigma! Bring it on, douche. Bam. Get out of here, asshole. You're dead. Another massive change from this version versus the previous prototype we played is that missions are more now all about getting into enemy bases and destroying them, which that is the enemy base right there. There's usually a way that you have to, like, get inside of them. Normally it's hitting a switch, destroying a barrier, destroying a certain enemy. That's kind of what it is. And once you're actually inside, then it's all about trying to make your way through it till you get to the core. A lot of the, well, pretty much all of the old missions, like SOS missions and stuff like that, that's all gone. It's all about trying to get inside the base and destroy the core. And there's the other core, just how we all have known it. Bam. And done. And yeah, that's pretty much all I really am going to show, because the remainder of this is going to be exactly what you've been accustomed to for Star Fox 2. Maybe a few little graphical glitches here and there, but again, from this point on, the differences become next to nothing. Very, very, very minor. The next build I have for you is the June 22nd, 1995 build. This one, again, has next to very little differences from the previous builds. Starting off, one of the only big changes is we have a frame rate in the top left. The Nintendo logo is different now versus what it's been. Things will are definitely faster than how they were before. Getting to the main title screen, everything's pretty much the same, except now we do have a training and a test, which is something that the previous one didn't have, but mission and everything else is pretty much the same. Checking out training really quick. Obviously, everything's in Japanese, so we can't really read it, but this is effectively a whole, like, training mode to get accustomed to how to do stuff. Also, another thing I did forget to point out, in the previous build, the boost meter is also gone, so we have infinite boost from this point onward. It's actually really interesting. The bottom left actually shows two Fox McClouds, which that is quite interesting. It seems like training mode is mainly, like, you know, it cuts the theatrics, it cuts the story, and it just lets you get straight to the gameplay, just to test and train, like, getting used to how to probably take out planets, multiple enemies, things like that. Be a little more strategic with what you take out, what you fight. Honestly, it definitely doesn't really need it by any means. I don't think it needs it. If anything, they probably should have kept what the OG training mode was, where, you know, you actually got to just feel how the ship controlled versus, you know, just pretty much playing through the game as is. Hopping over to Test. Now, Test actually does have something pretty cool. Way back in one of the very old prototype builds, we had a test mode that lets you pretty much test, how planets depth? 5, I guess. Oh, shit. Okay, I guess we're fighting Andros. Oh, shit. All right, hold on. I wasn't planning to have a final boss fight or nothing. Oh, fuck. Okay, hold on. Final big challenge here. Oh, man. Get out of here. Get dunked on. Get fucked. Get fucked. Yeah, suck it, Andros. That's cool. Ooh, hello. This actually shows Cornelia's destruction. Cornelia fell, but it's actually playing the wrong fucking music. That's funny. A few other pretty significant differences is like the final title screen that you see, where it actually shows your record. The way that they did rankings is different, and the way that they display everything's different. Personally, I prefer this version's result screen than I do the final build. I think the final build just lacks a little bit of flair, in my opinion. All right, we are now at the very end of our list. In fact, the next two are very, very interesting, and actually tell a bit of a story about this cartridge in particular. The build that we just played, the one from June 22nd, is actually the last build officially until the final version. Now, the thing is that if you go online and type up Star Fox 2 beta, you might actually stumble across another version of Star Fox 2, which is kind of different from the other ones that you see up to this point. In fact, my cartridge here of the beta of Star Fox 2 is actually based off of this version. Now, this version is actually going to be very, very similar once you see why. As you see, everything is really fast, just like you saw in the previous prototype. Now, when I press start, and it gets the title screen, you'll actually notice that the title card is completely different. This version of Star Fox 2's beta has been around for a long time. At least it was pretty prevalent back when Star Fox 2 used to be just a beta, and before we had the massive Giga Leak. Now, this particular version, if I press play, we only have mission and record. Hit mission, we have access to expert, hard, and normal. Going to normal mode, everything now is in English. Cornelius, come, you will soon bow before me. Yep, everything is now in English versus the previous prototype that we played. That was all in a different language. Now, this version, if you ever looked up and bought a reproduction cartridge of Star Fox 2, was the version you would end up actually playing. All right, let's go take out some missiles real quick. Just shoot around, mess with this. Of course, we have access to blasters again, right at the start. Yeah! Easy clap. Dude, easy. So, you might be wondering what exactly is going on. Well, I will explain it to you. If you went online to pick up a reproduction of Star Fox 2 and or looked up any betas of this game at the time, you would end up finding this version with that really cool 3D depth logo, as well as everything translated to English. What this actually is a patched version of the June 22nd build. It was actually released by Aeon Genesis on the ROM hacking website. And funny enough, trying to hunt down this patch is actually not all that easy. In fact, there are very little screenshots of this particular patch version of Star Fox 2, at least nowadays. Mainly because the Giga Leak as well as the final version have kind of buried this version of Star Fox 2 way down to the depths of the internet. So yeah, for all the Star Fox fans that might have seen this version of Star Fox 2 with this particular logo, and you couldn't find it nowadays, that's kind of why. This actual version was just a patched version of an old prototype to be in full English translation and kind of polish things up to create what was, at the time, the closest there ever could be of a final Star Fox 2 experience. And for those that have reproduction cartridges, at least back in the day, like I do, have this particular version with this patch included. This is the one and only final build of Star Fox 2. This version that we're playing on is actually my 100%ed save file, and this is the one that we played recently a few weeks ago where we did an entire run of expert mode. Now, that being said, this version does not have multiplayer like the previous prototypes, and this is the official English translation with the official final title card, or title screen as it were, for Star Fox 2. Now, with this being the final version, getting 100% actually gave you a handful of upgrades which wasn't in the previous build. For example, we have the Cornelia theme playing on the main character. Another thing is that characters now have access to twin lasers. At least 100% is done. If this was an uncompleted save file, the characters would not have access to twin lasers. So if you notice on the map, there's this looking weird black hole thing, right? This is actually the secret base. You unlock the secret base by getting all the General Pepper tokens in all of the stages. Once you do that, you gain access to that secret base, which will allow you to get different weapon upgrades and kind of switch out what you already have, beef up your arsenal, and get twin laser right off the bat. But it also has something else. Here we are facing off an enemy. Now we do have blaster like normal. However, if I charge it up, as you can see, there's no lock-on feature, as this version actually does not allow you to have the lock-on blaster functionality right off the bat like the previous prototype did. Once we do get to the secret base, we get access to all these abilities that we can get right off the bat, but we also get this where it says homing. Picking this up now allows us, your blaster level has now raised, homing shots enabled. Place your target marker on an enemy and fire. Just like in the previous prototype, we charge up our laser, we get our eyes on an enemy target. It says locked, we fire, bam! As you can see, charge shots locked right on him and blew him out of the sky, just like the previous prototype. One more left, bam! And knocked right out. Now, it is a bit of a shame, in my opinion, that the homing shot got pretty much locked into 100% of all the tokens. I understand that there needed to be some kind of 100% reward for getting all the General Pepper tokens, but I feel like that could have easily been done, maybe by giving you probably an even better laser upgrade, something beyond hyper lasers, because homing attack is honestly kind of required for quick takeouts when in expert mode, and it just feels like you're kind of limping around without a leg without the ability to use homing shots. With that being said, this is the final version. From the previous two builds that we checked out, there is next to no differences, besides from little things here and there. But this is the final version, and if you want to see more of what this version has to offer or see a full playthrough, again, check out the video that we did a handful of weeks ago. It's really good, really funny, and I kicked some major ass. Now, at this point, we talked about SF2 a lot. And with all the different versions that we've discussed, it's obvious that we've lost a lot of really cool ideas, concepts, and mechanics over the years through all the different builds, with the most recent final version definitely missing out on a few key features. And one of the biggest features that we missed out on was multiplayer. But that's not where our story ends, as thanks to the lovely fans of Star Fox, we have a solution to that very problem, to create what I would call the definitive way to play Star Fox 2. Guys, let me introduce you to this little bit of a bonus build, Star Fox 2 Restoration. Guys, welcome to SF2 Restoration. What is Star Fox 2 Restoration? Well, it is a ROM hack and what I would consider the true build of Star Fox 2 that adds in a few little missed out features that Star Fox 2's final build sadly didn't have. But it adds multiplayer back into the game with a cool little barrel roll function for the walker that we missed out on, as well as adding back the UFO mode slash the R-Wings hover transformation. Guys, look at this. We've got multiplayer, ground, space, and room. We're gonna hit ground first. Let's do this shit. Oh, this is so nice. It's so great to see all our final characters getting that sweet, sweet multiplayer treatment. All right. Guys, here we are. We are in the game right now. We have multiplayer maps. We have a full set UI timer, so we are timed, so we need to hurry and find our target relatively quickly. Though I'm pretty sure I already know where our target is. Now, this version has a fully working multiplayer. Ooh, I see our target up ahead. There he is. There he is. Yeah, get him. Get him. Let's go. Woo! Yeah, suck it. Suck it. So, something really cool is that if we double press the R button, we do a little twirl. We have a barrel roll for the walker. That is so dope. Now we have a way to deflect enemy fire. At least I think that's what this does. Yep, look at that. It definitely deflects fire. That is so cool. Yeah, so this adds back a full multiplayer mode that fucking works. So we're obviously gonna deck this guy out real quick. Boom. You're dead. Get done skied. You suck. And there we go. All right, guys. So if you end up in a space level, you have the ability to do the UFO transformation. Look at that. It's a little, it is a little harder to aim with this thing than the prototype version. I think the prototype version does it a little better. But it's still really cool that we have this, like, at all. Oh, I got one guy. It's almost like a turret. Another really weird thing is that you actually can't move for some reason. I'm not sure why. Come here. Where is he? Yes! You got bested by the UFO, bitch! All right, we're checking out Look, Peppy's got it too. It is a shame, though. It is a shame that we cannot actually move in this form. Oh my god, but we're decking these guys. Bro, get fucked. I don't need y'all get out of my way. Y'all Dunsky. Y'all Dunsky. Oh my god, I am the best. Come here. I'll fight this. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna fight this battleship with a UFO. Let's go, bitch! I'll fight you as a UFO, motherfucker! And yeah, that's actually all that I wanted to show. Star Fox Restoration definitely is, in my opinion, the best way to experience Star Fox 2. It doesn't change the game too much, but it adds back a lot of old school ideas that honestly were really dope at the time, and it's a joy to see them in the game in full. And this only shows that there is the option to add more into Star Fox 2 with modding. Maybe one day we'll actually see those old features that were forgotten all those years ago, like SOS missions and more expansive planets, make their way back into Star Fox 2, maybe through an EX experience, or maybe through Star Fox DX, or Definitive Edition, or who knows? With Star Fox Restoration, it just shows that the possibilities are endless to bring back really cool old school ideas from the old prototypes back into the fray, back into the future, and in my opinion, Restoration, as far as right now, is the definitive way to experience Star Fox 2 and the true final build of this game. And without further ado, that brings us to the end of our list. It's been a long video for sure, and we've gone through a bunch of different builds. With that being said, it's obvious that Star Fox 2 has a grand, long, complicated, and ridiculous history with crazy different ideas of development, from larger planets to unseen bosses. There is so much packed into the history of Star Fox 2, it's honestly no wonder why it's so infamous of a canceled game. With that being said, I did say I had a gift for those that stayed all the way to the end. Trying to find all these builds, as well as trying to find out which ones are the proper dates, as well as trying to find the information on them, and even trying to find and create a patched version to create that unofficial final version of Star Fox 2 was honestly a bit of a hassle for yours truly. So, because I'm such a nice guy, down in the description will be every single build with its proper date included for you to enjoy. Each of them will be done in chronological order. However, I can't give an exact direct Google Drive to this because I don't want the Nintendo ninjas to come and kill me. I will give the links to where you can actually locate these ROMs for yourself. But I will not be adding or including the final ROM or the final build of Star Fox 2 because that will actually get me in trouble, and I did buy the game twice. That being said though, every other ROM, where I found them, the sites that are included with them, as well as the information will be all down in the description, and again, every build will be down there for you to enjoy and check out yourself in full, along with the actual date and version that ROM is. And with that being said, guys, that does bring us to the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please like, comments, for as always, Evan Amazing. Thank you for joining me again with this deep dive into the compilation of all the versions and builds of Star Fox 2. It's been a blast to check out the long history of Star Fox 2 with all of its builds. And I've said the word Star Fox 2 so many times that if you played a drinking game, you would probably die. So I'm going to call it here. This is Joseph signing out. Don't forget to rock and roll, and I'll see you next time. Later.